Hi, everybody. I'm Kirsten, and you are at my bonus recipe video on demand, all about how I make deviled eggs. And I'm including this in class because I usually don't really get to fully show you how to make deviled eggs in class. We're kind of rushing, trying to get through the last of the potatoes and the cocktail meatballs, and there's just not really a lot of time to go through it all. And it occurred to me, thanks to my producer Will, it occurred to me that I could just kind of do a video early, take a second and just do it at my own speed. Give you the link. You're welcome to watch it if you want to. Here you are. Thank you for watching this. But if it's not your thing, you don't have to. So this is all about deviled eggs, and I have already made the deviled eggs in the Instant Pot, as many as will fit on your rack or whatever additional thing you've put in to elevate the eggs off the bottom of the Instant Pot, plus a cup of water, 7 minutes, high pressure, quick release. And then I've dropped them into a bowl of ice water. So they're chilling. And then we're going to kind of go over really how I make the deviled egg filling, because at Chow Girls, I work at Chow Girls Catering, and we make a lot of deviled eggs, a lot. So, people love deviled eggs. It's such a wonderful thing. So at work, I use a food processor. At home, I either use a food processor or a little chopper. But basically, you want something to crunch up the yolks enough that you can make a very smooth and pipeable filling. So if you want to use a bowl and a fork and just mash your yolks, more power to you. I'm going to be using this. And in here, for the filling, I'm going to be using mayonnaise. And this is Sir Kensington's. I'm into glass jars these days. Before that, my favorite mayonnaise was Hellmann's or Duke's or Best Foods, depending on what part of the country I was living in at the time. But whatever your favorite type of mayonnaise is, use that. You'll need just plain mayonnaise. You need a little bit of Dijon mustard. This is Mustard Girl. It's made in Wisconsin, so that's my local angle for Mustard Girl. And then a little salt and a little pepper. And that's the basic deviled egg filling. I like to pipe my deviled eggs. So I have a little pastry bag, a 10-inch featherweight Wilton pastry bag that I got at Michael's or Joann's with a coupon in their baking supplies. And it has a star tip. Let me see if I can show you the tip. That one, well, that's kind of a star. Yeah, there you go. Star tip like that. And so whatever fits with that. And a good sized bag. Now, if you're doing a lot of eggs, like lots and lots of eggs, at Chow Girls, we use a this size bag compared to a this size bag. And this is enough for like 75, 80 eggs, maybe 100. I don't know. It gets unwieldy after a while. But, I like bags. It makes it easy for you. Okay. So I got that. And we have our tip. We talked about that. And let me spin back over to here. Good. Good. So once you have your basic stuff, I will get cracking. Let me see. After eggs have been cooked in the pressure cooker, and then you drop them from height, they will be fairly easy to peel. And I did a sample of 5 eggs, and one of them busted open, so I'm kind of happy about that. We'll see this one has a little yolk that has tried to escape. And I'm just going to crack them a little bit more. When you drop them from height, that will give them an initial crack. Oh, like a dream. Just peels like a dream. Gives them an initial crack, and the initial crack lets water kind of seep in between the egg and the shell. And the initial crack could look like this or that. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna put you in. But I tap them around just to get the rest of the cracks happening, which is much easier to do if your egg has had an opportunity to chill for a while. And I personally, if you're making this in advance, because we're going to talk about that. If you're making this in advance, I would still boil and cook and peel the eggs on one day, because it just makes it easier. If you've chilled the eggs, then you're trying to peel an ice cold egg, and that's just no fun. Sometimes your egg will have a little divot in it like this. It's okay, we can work with it. We can work with it. I had some eggs that were looking like the Star Trek emblem. And I kind of stuck them in the center of the platter so it wasn't as obvious that they were slightly misshapen, because there was an air pocket and you can't predict that. That goes how it goes. I prefer making eggs in the pressure cooker than boiling them. Sadly, I have to do it at Showgirls because we don't have a pressure cooker, but I prefer that. And I prefer it mainly because you just put the cold water and the eggs in and off you go. You don't have to let the water come to a boil. You don't have to pay attention to your timing. You don't have to, well, I don't usually drain, I just lift out anyway. Actually, what I do is I put them all in a giant pasta pot with the holes in it, pasta colander, lower that in, pick it up. I don't do more than probably 60 eggs at a pop, because that's a lot to put out. Okay, so I'm going to rinse them just a little bit, just to make sure that any stray bits of shell were off. And if I haven't told you before, shells are very good for providing calcium if you like to grow tomatoes. Extra calcium in the soil will help prevent blossom end rot. So put those in when you are planting your tomatoes, crunch up the shells and put them in when you're planting. And the worms who will love your garden will take a bite and poop out calcium, take another bite, poop out calcium, and that the roots will take it up and you will have less blossom end rot. Just another tip. Okay, so I've got my eggs here and I'm gonna cut them in half. We'll do all those first. I have to say that I usually like to wipe off my knife so I don't worry about getting yolk on the edge of the white. Here. And I'm rotating the egg to make sure that if there's a weird spot, like a divot or something, let's put over this way to the next can, but not this can. Hi. All right, if you have a divot in your egg, I'm cutting it so that will go on the bottom, so it looks good. And let me get a little bit of the yellow off. So this one had a hole sucking the air out, big divot. We'll see what we can do with it. We're gonna have Star Trek eggs. I wish you could do that on purpose, make it happen, but that happens because there's a little something in the shell that makes it go weird. All right, now that I've cut everybody in half, I don't need my knife, but I'm gonna grab a little teeny tiny spoon, and I don't need my bowl. I have a little teeny tiny spoon to pop the yolks into my food chopper. And I'm handling with care so I don't break anybody. and how you can make these ahead. Come on, you. Like, if you want to make these ahead, serve for an event, deviled eggs. The thing I would do is a day or two in advance, boil and peel and slice your eggs. Because the eggs themselves can sit. I usually do them face side down. But your eggs can sit in a container, covered container in the refrigerator for 1, 2, maybe even 3 days. I wouldn't put it past 3 days, but certainly day before. So they could certainly sit for 2 days. Your eggs can sit like this in the cover in the freezer. Fridge. No problem. And guess what? The filling can also sit for 2, 3 days, definitely a day, 2, 3 days. So I'm going to start with my yolks and I'm going to give them a couple blitzes to chop. Nice. And now let's add a pinch of salt. And I'm not going to give you specific measurements because I'm going to tell you to taste it. Pinch of salt, a little bit of pepper. And then a splorp of Dijon. That's an official term. A splorp. That's going to look like, for me, a teaspoon. And this is for 5 eggs, which is a really small amount of eggs for me to make, but we'll see how that goes. And I'm going to do probably 1/4 cup-ish of mayonnaise. This is to start. We got to see how it looks. Okay. Okay, I've spun that up. Now I'm going to scrape down the sides. It looks a little stiff to me. I would like it a little bit runnier. And I have, of course, used this thing for scraping. So I'm going to grab a spoon. So I'm going to add a little bit more mayonnaise. And maybe a titch more mustard. If you like sour cream, you could also put some sour cream in here. And give it a blend. All right, that looks nice. We have a little bit of shine. It looks smooth. It looks spreadable. That is what I'm looking for. If you go too far, usually with let me switch cameras. If you go too far, usually with mayonnaise, you can have it kind of break a little bit. It looks oily. Add some more mustard or add a thing of sour cream. Put a spoonful of that in, spin it up again, see how that looks. Because you can fix it. If it looks a little oily, you can fix it. It's not too late. Trust me, I know. And then of course you taste it and say, does this taste like what I want in my basic deviled egg filling? And it does. Yeah. Hi, Molly. How are you? Molly has just come back from a walk. So put this filling in your piping bag. And Robert Barker is also here. The dogs are here, back from their walk. And you want to chill your filling in your piping bag. I mean, right now you can just start squirting in your eggs, which I'll do after I get all the filling in. But you can also save this filling for a day or two. So I am gonna finish this up. All right, that's good. And slide my eggs off the side. When you are ready to serve your eggs, or if you're taking your eggs and going on the road somewhere, when you have them in a container that will keep them happy and safe. So for me, we're gonna grab these 2 eggs and stick them side by side. When you have them in your container, your egg toting container, because they make a lot of those, and that's what we actually have some made out of bamboo for the sustainable part in Chowgirls, which is crazy. You can go ahead and pipe a pretty egg, and that is really easy. I'm going to switch cameras here. Hello. And then bring it up so you can see a couple of little splorps, and I have a really pretty piped egg. And that was no effort at all on my part, other than the fact that I happened to purchase a piping bag a long time ago and I rinse it out and reuse it every time. So piping bag makes life easier. It's part of that whole right tool for the job thing. Now, what are you going to put on your egg? You can always do paprika. Paprika is a standard basic one. You could consider everything bagel seasoning. This is by Linds and Byerly's. You could do za'atar seasoning. This one happens to be from Penzeys. You could do black lava salt, chili threads, fresh dill, or thyme or rosemary, pickled red onions, finely chopped pickles, lavender buds. There are so many different things that you can put on an egg, a deviled egg. And you can kind of do the whole thing. When I work at Chowgirls, I'll platter up my eggs, pipe them, and then platter them. Actually, I put the eggs on the platter, and then I go and pipe everybody. And then I kind of figure out what I want to do. Kind of do some swath of paprika in some black salt or sesame seeds, or crushed Szechuan peppers, pink peppercorns. Sprinkle some of that on, a little bit of fresh dill, and then I'll do chili threads at the end, so that each egg has like 2 or 3 different flavors on it, and it's not quite the same as all the eggs around it. So I'm hitting everybody, but I'm getting everybody just a little bit slightly different. So you can kind of pick over the platter and go, oh, that looks good, or that looks good, or something like that. Because I don't really want them all to be identical. I want you to have choice. So that is a kind of a nice dive, or nicer dive, deeper dive into deviled eggs. And I will put this up, load this and put this up. There's a dog down here. Sadly, we can't see you, but she's got her eye on me, very interested in eggs, but I'm not giving you any eggs because we're going to use these tomorrow and make some more. Okay, right. I think that's all I have. So thank you. Well, I'm going to go this way to say thank you, because I think I'll be over. There we go. Sweet. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope this has been useful for you. Oh yeah, one more thing on your platter. If you have room on your platter, and like if you bought some dill or something like that, so throw in some extra fresh herbs on it. In the springtime, whatever is coming up early in your garden, throw that on your platter. It can look pretty. If you've got some food you're regrowing, this is a yellow beet, the top of a yellow beet, and some scallions that I stuck in water. They grew roots, and so now, I could put a couple of little leaves around to nestle in the things that look spring-like. In the summertime, flowers, marigolds, zinnias, Violets. I'm blanking on other edible flowers, but you know, if you grew it in your garden and you didn't use pesticides, guess what? It's edible. In the fall, leaves, you know, fallen leaves, wipe them off, pick them up, wipe them off. You can, especially maple leaves, anything with a really pretty color and shape, use that to decorate your platter. Also sedum, you can use sedum. Sedum flowers also come up in the fall. You know, those are great things to decorate a platter. In the wintertime, we're kind of using evergreens, but they don't go on the food. They go on the table underneath the platters of food. So I don't want to say use evergreens. I would say back into fresh herbs, a packet of fresh herbs, parsley, you know, grab a whole and grab a bunch of parsley and put some parsley around and put your eggs on top of that. And that way you can have something that looks interesting on your platter year round for your eggs. All right, enough.